entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Welcome to another Monday Night Live training, where your journey to business success accelerates. Join us for insights, strategies, and tools to elevate your business while keeping your budget in mind. Good evening, entrepreneurs and visionaries. Welcome to another Monday Night Live training, where your journey to business success accelerates. Join us for insights, strategies, and tools to elevate your business while keeping your budget in mind. It's time to transform your passion into profit. Your host, Corey Fonville Foster, is about to take the stage. Get ready to be inspired and empowered. The future of your business starts now.
All right, hello. Give me one moment. I am just trying to make sure the good old Instagram is working. Let's see here. It should be. All right, we're going to see. We're going to move forward. I just saw there was like a little glitch. And I was like, let me make sure that the Instagram is working here. Okay, not sure. Maybe, possibly. Can't tell. Technology is going to do what technology wants to do. But hello. Welcome to our Monday Night Live. I'm so happy you guys are in the building. It's so funny. I'm like, you know what? Hold on. I've been wanting to have an applause. Let me see. Is this an applause? Yay! Sorry, I used it for a client recently. And I was like, I've always wanted to have a little applause on my side, and I never remember to download it. But anywho, welcome. I'm so excited that you guys are here. If you're watching on any of our platforms, if you're watching live, say hello. If you're watching the replay, say hello. Because we like to have a good time here. I try to make sure that I'm on time and that I'm ready and I'm energized, and I hope that you come and join us every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know about you guys because I've been talking to different clients and they've been talking about like the weather where they are. And if some of you guys are having snow, or like here in Virginia, we have that cold rain and a little bit of snow, like I get it. You're tired, you're cold, you may have been at work all day. This is the last thing in your mind, but I encourage you to join us because we like to learn a little bit. We like to grow. We like to push ourselves out of our comfort zones and have a pretty good time. All right, so what are we talking about today? Let me go ahead and pull up my notes because you guys know if I don't have notes, I will talk, and we'll be here forever. I like to get us in and get us out like church, y'all. Get in, get out. All right, let's see here. What are we talking about tonight? We're talking about navigating common business planning challenges. So many of my clients have the same story, the same issue. They come in and they say, these are the challenges that I have, or they're saying, hey, I want to get to this point in my business, but I'm encountering some problems, or I'm getting some resistance from where I'm trying to go, and they're not sure as to why, right? They're like, I really don't understand why I'm not making a certain amount of money, or I'm not getting to a certain place, and they're confused. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. I don't think you guys are getting my feed. Hold on, let me just make sure. Okay. All right, cool. I just want to make sure you guys were getting the feed. All right. Like I got so many different screens going on. I had to check. But anywho, yeah, they come to me and they say, there's some type of challenge. There's some type of resistance that they're not sure as to why. And so tonight we're going to talk about some common business challenges. We're gonna kind of work it out together to say, okay, let's acknowledge these challenges and let's talk about how individuals get into these issues and how they can effectively get through them. And of course, depending on your particular situation, there may be more nuanced versions of this, but I think even looking at when I was preparing this speech, I was like, I definitely have encountered most, if not all of these challenges. And 99.99999% of the people that I have worked with have also encountered these challenges. And on top of that, individuals that I consider like colleagues or peers, even coaches, have encountered these challenges. So suffice it to say, I'm pretty sure that if you're watching this, most, if not all of these challenges you either have faced or will face in your business. But before we dive in, I always like to reintroduce myself, because we always have new people that come into the community. So a little bit about the company. The company's called iRock Marketable Business Solutions, and we are really dedicated to helping coaches, consultants, small business owners, speakers, authors, all of you guys achieve your goals and really unlock your full potential. I really believe that no matter your circumstances, no matter your background, your skill set, your financial place in the world, you deserve to live the life of your dreams. You deserve to be able to be a successful entrepreneur if that is what you wish. You deserve to live your life on your own terms. And so it's my goal and my team's goal to just support you in whatever that looks like. And we do that while keeping your budget in mind. A little bit about me. If you're new to the iRock fam, my name is Corey Falmo Foster. I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I am a business coach, and I'm also the CEO of iRock Marketable Business Solutions. If you know anything about my story, you know that I actually am self-taught. I got into business almost a decade ago. And I got into business because I was in the medical field, happily living my life, doing my 9 to 5, had no interest or even had it like in the back of my mind that I ever wanted to become an entrepreneur. But through some health circumstances, I had to leave the medical field and kind of charter a new path. And that led me to entrepreneurship. And I had a first business. It was called iRock Mind, Body, and Soul. It was really great. It was a product-based business. And then I eventually shifted because I saw a gap in the market into what I now have, which is a coaching and marketing firm for small business owners like yourselves. So that's cool. Of course, an abbreviated version of my story. Like I tell it so often, sometimes I'm like, all right, which parts are the most important? But I think if you know nothing else about me, just know that where you are, I've been. Where you want to go, I got you. That's if you know nothing else, that's what you can take away from my little bio or intro. Also, just because again, I want to make sure that we're not overlooking anything. In case you're wondering, like, who is this chick? What is iRock Marketable Business Solutions? What do they offer? This just kind of gives you a quick rundown. We have done for you services, which are coaching programs. We have things as simple as a 1-hour power hour coaching session, all the way up to I call them our platinum clients, but those are our one-on-one clients. We have everything in the middle, courses that you can self-pace, group coaching, etc. We have done with you in mind consulting packages. So that's more for our organizations or nonprofits, where I can come in as a consultant and really work with you and your team. We have done for you marketing services. That goes anywhere from a full-blown marketing kind of overhaul, where we are taking care of all of your marketing needs, all the way down to our a la carte menu, which means you can just come and grab a website, you can come and grab a logo, you can come and get a video edited here or there, and you're on your way. We have our done your way virtual assistants. A lot of our clients we're starting to get to a point where they were like, I need a team, but they weren't sure how to hire one. They weren't sure how to utilize one. They didn't want to go about training them. And so we launched this program the latter part of last year. So we now have very well trained and ready to go virtual assistants to support you in your business needs. And as always, we kept your budget in mind. And then we have done as you need, our a la carte services. That includes our marketing services, along with some other fun goodies like our help with your self-publishing, events, and things of that nature. All right, let's get into the topic. I always have to do that part. It's so hard to get through, but we get it done every time. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. I always like to have 3 objectives for every time we do our Monday Night Live. So tonight, we're going to be recognizing and mitigating some common planning errors, right? Business planning errors. We're going to be embracing flexibility in business strategies, and we're going to talk about the importance of periodic planning and reviews. So those are our 3 kind of objectives. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and I'm going to shout some people out through this presentation because I talked about when I was on our private free community earlier today. I did a live and I kind of talked about what to look at when you look for a coach and how for different things you may need different people. I know it's great to be like, oh, I wish I could do, work with this one person and do it all, but not everybody's an expert in everything. Period. I am not an expert in everything. So while I do a lot of this stuff, we do have some amazing experts within our community that I will shout out because they're experts in certain areas where I think if you're really needing some support, some deep support in that area, you should probably reach out to them. All right, so let's talk about our first common planning error when it comes to our business, and that is that we are insufficient in our market research. I can't tell you how many clients, when I get them on a call, or prospective clients usually, where they're telling me about their business and what they're going to sell and all this. And I'm like, oh, is that common, that price point for your industry? Is that typically how people purchase this product or service? And they're like, huh? Say what? And I'm like, well, if you're packaging this per hour, is that typical for your specific industry? Because you have to remember, I'm a business coach to coaches. And they may be life coaches, they may be wellness, they may be transitional, they may be educational. I mean, the list goes on and on. So because of that, sometimes I have to ask them, because I'm not going to do a ton of market research for you before you come to me and say, hey, I want some marketing support. I'm like, hey, did you, is this typically how it works? You've already come to me saying you got products on deck and all these things. And I'm saying, did you look into your market? Did you see that this makes sense? Is this what your clientele is looking for? Is this how they are looking for it to be packaged? Is this the right pricing? I'm going to ask all those questions before I get, intertwined with you and try to work. Because I'm like, if it don't make sense there, then we need to take a few steps back and make some adjustments before we proceed. And I've had to tell people that. I had a young lady reach out to me. She was so nice. But she got into a business. She wanted passive income, but she got into a business where she was trying to sell like attire, shirts and sweaters and bags and things. And I looked at it and I was like, those prices are a little bit high. And she was like, well, they have to be this price. And she was explaining to me how she gets her inventory and who ships it and, how it's made and all the process. I get it. It made perfect sense for her situation, but the buyer cares not. I'm just going to be honest. The buyer cares not. When there's a such thing as Shein and Walmart charging $30-$40 for a shirt is just not going to happen. Not a regular shirt, maybe a gown or something customized, but not a little screen print shirt. It's just not going to happen. And so sometimes, I have to be the bearer of bad news and say, you know what, you probably should have went back and do a little bit more market research before you invested the time, the energy, the money into those products. And so, yes, it gets a little frustrating. Yes, if you're already past the point where you should, you guys, it's such an important step. And so one of the pictures that is on your screen right now is of one of my good friends, Misha. She's in the private community, but you can also look her up, Misha Branch. And she's absolutely amazing at market research, right? And not just doing the research and saying, okay, here you go, but understanding the research. Because if you're like me, don't give me no spreadsheet. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's a whole bunch of numbers. I'm overwhelmed. It's too much data. So not only does she help you collect the information, but she also helps explain the information and then help you come up with a plan to utilize that information. Because that's the part you really need, right? She's worked with some amazing, huge companies. And for some reason, I've had brain fog all day, guys, so forgive me. But what is it? Uncle Ben's Rice, Taco Bell, some other major campaigns she's worked on. And she now has shifted to specialize in small businesses. So if you're in the private community, all you got to do is go to the member section, type in Misha, and go ahead and hit her up. She's really cool. She actually hosted a master class for us. It was free last year. And matter of fact, what I'll do is if you DM me, I will be able to send you a copy, even though you should have been there when it was done, but I get maybe you weren't in the group. But if you DM me, I can send you a copy of her masterclass. But also, like I said, reach out to me, because she does do consultations. And if you are struggling at that step, or you realize you skipped that step, I encourage you to reach out to her to get that market research done. So that's one of our big common mistakes people kind of overlook, and then it bites them in the butt later. So another big challenge that people encounter is because they are really underestimating the financial requirements of doing business. Um, I can get how that happens. I definitely got into business, like I said before, kind of in a really unorthodox way. I wasn't planning it, so I wasn't in a 9 to 5 saving up, getting lenders and grants and all the things. Guys, to this, I ain't even gonna say that out loud. Just know, look, I'm about to tell some business. I'm not even gonna do that on myself, but just know I had no money, 0.00. I had nothing when I decided to go into entrepreneurship. I actually, for my first business, did borrow money from like my home fund. My husband was working. I borrowed a very small amount. I paid it back just to buy supplies to make products, because I was making soaps and salves and bath bombs and candles and things of that nature. And I don't mind being transparent about that. I ain't gonna tell all my business, but I'll tell you that. So I did borrow a little bit from my household fund. I did pay it back plus a lot. But yeah, I had no clue how much running a business would cost. And that business really was a lot cheaper to run than this business. For my product based business, I was doing mostly vendor events. I had some online sales. And so I was just paying for shipping, which was already included in my pricing. I had already had inventory, and I would just roll some of my profit into buying more inventory. And then I really wasn't marketing hugely at the time. So I didn't have a huge overhead. Now that I have this business, the overhead is real, y'all. The overhead is real. Right now, y'all are watching me on StreamYard. That costs a little bit of change. Social media, I run through an app as well. My assistant costs money. Our CRM system, that's our customer relationship management system, costs money to house our e-courses and our emails and things like that. Woo, costs money. And so these are numbers that I didn't personally even know about when I started this business. I kind of learned and was like, okay, here we go. And what ended up happening, let's talk about that. Because I didn't know and I did not plan for these expenses, for a long time, I could not pay myself. Because the money that was coming in, that revenue, was just to pay to keep the company afloat. It took me a long time adjusting my prices, really looking at my overhead, making adjustments to be able to sustain and actually have a decent amount of true profit where I could take a check home. I've had many clients tell me, like, how people be like, yeah, I'm making 6 figures. I did this and this. I have had 6-figure clients who tell me they didn't get to pay themselves all year. Like, let that rest. Can you imagine working your butt off, having a 6-figure business and not being able to pay yourself all year? That is real. Why? Because we are underestimating the financial requirements to keep our business afloat. If you want a 6-figure business, oftentimes you're not going to be doing it just by yourself. You can do a lot, but it's very hard to scale with you, yourself, and yourself. So you really have to be realistic and know the numbers of, what things are going to cost. And some things you may not be able to get now. I'm sorry. Some things you may not be able to get now. There have been softwares that I have wanted, y'all. And I was like, oh man, I can't get that. I remember there was a time when I couldn't afford Kajabi. I always tell people, if you can't project that you can pay for something for a year, do not start paying for it, because then you'll link all your stuff and do all the things and then have no access to it when you can't keep the payments up. There were years where I was like, I can only afford this free plan here, the first level of this plan there, and I'm barely scraping by. And it really hurts. It hurts your feelings, to be honest, because again, you're working hard and you're not being able to really see the changes in your life based on how much work you're doing, right? You have somebody else that's going to McDonald's bringing home a bigger check than you. No shade to the person working at McDonald's, but dang, you working 60, 80 hours on your business and is not bringing home a paycheck. But the person working at McDonald's dropping the fries is. We got to be honest about this. So it's really important for us, granted, there's going to be things that you don't know. I'm going to be honest about that. But there is important steps to business where you really do look at the financials. Yes, pull up the spreadsheet or have somebody else pull it up for you and talk you through it and say, where is my money going to go? Where is it, where is it going? Where has it been going? Where do I want it to go? And make adjustments as needed. It's okay, like I said, to say, hey, I can't afford this right now. I tell clients all the time because they love Kajabi. I love Kajabi. Can't sing the Kajabi's praises enough. It's an all-in-one system that does so many things. But the lowest plan is like $200 a month times 12. You know what I mean? Maybe catch it on a sale month, but it's pretty pricey if you haven't started bringing in any income. And so some people really want it, but they're at the place where they're just trying to figure out what to sell and things like that, and they're trying to start building their email list. Baby, Kajabi just may not be for you right now. I always tell people, take a year, use the platforms we can afford, and then next year it's not that big of a deal. We can put that into our cost system and say, okay, this is how much it's probably going to cost to then move this stuff to Kajabi in a year. But at least we'll have some money, and we won't be every month freaking out and saying, oh my gosh, where is next month's money going to come from? I've been there, guys. I have overextended myself, and I have been sick to my stomach, can't sleep at night, can't focus, because I'm like, I don't know if we're going to have enough money next month to basically keep the lights on. You don't want to be there. So it's really important for you to take a real look and also be honest about how much things cost. People have come to me and be like, I know I need a website. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's talk about it. And we have like the lowest prices of websites in town. Even when our websites were like $300-400, people was like, it's so much. And I'm like, well, before you got on this call, this is in my head now. Because I ain't gonna beg nobody for a couple dollars for a website. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, how much did you think a website costs? Right? And those were the same people that want all the bells and whistles, all the things. And I'm like, well, how much did you think this was going to cost you? Make it make sense. And so also you have to realize that in order to do business, you have to spend money. My job in this particular company I'm in is to try to make that as affordable as possible. But at the end of the day, sometimes the numbers are the numbers. And I can't charge you nickels for something that's worth hundreds of dollars. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work that way. So it's up to you as a business owner to, again, prioritize your spending, be realistic, and really look at those numbers and stay on top of them and know that you can make adjustments. You can shift things around. Some things you might need, some things you may want, some things might be nice to have. But our job is to really sit down and make sure that the numbers make sense. Because again, you don't want to get to the end of the year and realize that you could have made more money down working at the supermarket, bagging groceries. That would hurt your feelings. I promise you that. All right. Something else that creates a big challenge when we go into kind of planning and acting out our business, right? Being fully immersed in our business is overlooking competition. Just like that lady who did not take into account Shein and Walmart. A lot of times we overlook who else are we competing with. Maybe you're a speaker. Maybe you're an author. And there are people who do something similar to you. I always tell people, gone are the days where you're just the best thing in town, so everybody's going to have to go to you. Like, people have access to people all over the world, regardless of where they are, centered or where their base is. And so it's important that you don't overlook your competitors. You're thinking, okay, I'm so special, I'm in a lane of my own, but 5 companies do something similar to you, and they all do it cheaper than you. They all do it faster than you. It's like, why would people come to you instead of someone else? And I think that, you have to be cognizant of that. I'm not saying that you aren't unique, because I think that all of our businesses are unique and there are things that set us apart, but we also have to be realistic, because people a smart buyer will compare. They're going to shop for the best option for them. They may like you, but if you are $500 more a month than the next person, and you also take more time and they're gonna get less, they're probably not going to do business with you. So that's a thing to think about. Oh, Misha's in the chat. Yeah, Misha. I was like, who's putting their stuff up in this chat? But no, I saw the logo. Misha put herself in the chat. So I was talking about market research. Definitely reach out to her. A girl was like, who is that? Y'all know I'm legally blind. It took a minute for me to read it between talking. But yeah, definitely connect with her. So yeah, so don't overlook your competitors. It is a costly mistake. I'm not telling you to duplicate what they're doing. I'm not telling you have to model your business after them. But I am saying your prospective clients are going to be looking around, and so you want to make sure that your offer looks just as enticing as everyone else's. All right, so something that I'm gonna harp on. We've been talking about this probably for the last month or so. People with lack of a clear business plan, it will lead you to challenges every time. Y'all need to stop thinking a business plan is just some document that you supposed to do, right? I feel like people think it's a class assignment that's just for participation. So they do it and they shove it in a drawer and they never look at it again. Don't do it, friends. Don't do it. One of the main reasons why y'all are out here stressed about what opportunities to take and which opportunities to pass on and what products to make and who to make it for and how much they should cost, all of that is because you do not have a clear business plan. I'm going to be honest with you. When you lack a clear business plan, you don't really know where you're going. And Lord forbid you have a team and you don't have a clear business plan, then nobody can support you because they don't know where they're going. They don't know where they're being led. Right. So in our private community, we have Susie. Again, you can go up to the member section, put in Susie Rains. I think her last name actually starts with a W, but Susie Rains. She is our business planning expert. She makes an amazing business plan. She makes it easy to use. And then she also has plans where you can come back and revisit and adjust. Her system is absolutely amazing. She does business planning like nobody else. Um, so definitely hit her up if you are in need of a true business plan and really understanding the nuances of how to utilize one. But even if you have one, dust it off, guys. I'm sure you haven't seen it since you made it, and really utilize it. Like it should be sitting on your desk almost, because when you go to create a product, if you're not glancing back and saying, okay, what was the mission of my business and who am I serving and where does this fit into my product suite, then what are we doing? When that product doesn't do that great, it's only your fault because you didn't go back and say, oh, that don't even make sense for where I said we were going this year. That doesn't fit into our financial plan. That doesn't fill the gap in our product suite. Like, it's so very important that you utilize these tools. They may seem basic. I get it. They seem like, it's just something I have to do. But when you have something written down and it's clear, it helps, right? What do you say? Create the vision, make it clear, something like that. It's just so important. And then realizing it's a living document where you're going to go back time and time again and look at it and adjust it and make sure that you stay on track. It's just so important. And I'm telling you, people who don't have one, you can tell because they end up in hot water when things aren't making sense, or they're stressed and they're anxious because they're not sure of where their next step is and where they're going. So definitely get your business plan done. All right, something that I think pride gets in the way and creates challenges is that if you ignore your customer feedback. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we fall in love with our products. We feel some type of way. Like some of y'all have been in business for 20 some odd years, or you've been in your industry for decades. You're an expert, highly decorated, diplomas on the wall. Like y'all think y'all know what's best. And in a lot of ways you do. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying that the client is always right, because I don't believe that is true. I believe that the client always has a point. I don't think they're always right, but the client always has a point. I have definitely gotten feedback over the years where I'm like, baby, like y'all better go somewhere with that. But sometimes it has at least a little nuance that I can take away from it. I think as business owners, you need to be open to hearing it. I've come in contact with several people over the years where they're totally closed off to feedback. They're like, that person's delusional, and I'm like, they're not. Somebody was like, oh, this client said I was standoffish, and I'm thinking back in my head like, and you are. The client, said that they couldn't get in touch with me, and they couldn't, because every time I try to contact you, I can't either. And it's my job as a coach to kind of call them on their BS. But feedback, good or bad, we as entrepreneurs really should be utilizing. There have definitely been comments that have been made that didn't really fit my business structure, and I have to say, okay, cool, take that with a grain of salt. But there have been really, really great pieces of feedback, even if it, let's just be real, kind of hurt my feelings at the time. I had a lady that I was really kind of pouring my all into. I was coaching her, and she made a comment to the extent of like, I feel like you don't even know me when we get on these calls. And I was like, like, what you mean? And I, at first, like I said, that first hit, kind of hit me hard and hurt. But I realized, and I actually had to pull back from my medical years when I used to work with a new doctor, and she was seeing patients that had been in the practice. They, if you didn't know, they give doctors patients, and things like that, and they get new patients come in. And she had a hard time. She was very new, getting a whole big roster of new clients, and so we would actually put in people's charts little data information. Like, they had a spot where you could just put random stuff. We'd be like, oh, brother just got married, just went on vacation, just anything that when they came back 3-6 months, a year later, the doctor could be like, oh yeah, I remember you came, a year ago. How is Becky? How was the wedding? And then the patient's like, oh, you remembered me. But people are, when they're happy with that service and they feel like you connect, then they're more likely to have a positive experience. So when the client told me, like, you don't even know me, like I said, it hurt at first. It was jarring because I was like, girl, what? But then I had to stop and say, could I do better? Could I have a better system of remembering those little extra things, so that it feels more connected? And so now I actually do that. I do put notes for myself of just little things, so that I stay connected and stay have a better rapport with my coaching clients. Some of the facts that I remember have nothing to do with their businesses. Nothing at all. Some things are like, yeah, I have a guy that I'm still cool with, and he likes the Dolphins. And I actually just saw the Dolphins lost to somebody. I don't even watch football. I saw it on TikTok, and I was like, oh, I should shoot him a message, be like, how you feeling? Because the Dolphins lost. And those kind of things make all the difference. So I say all that to say, whether it's positive feedback, whether it's negative feedback, it's up to us to take it in. Like I said, some things you'll have to kind of toss and move on, but a lot of things have at least some merit to it. Can we implement it into our business? Can we utilize it to make the next experience better? And if nothing else, when the client is, or the prospective client is giving you the feedback, at least say, you know what, thank you. I'll consider that. I'll put it, I always tell people, let me write it down. Let me make a note. I always say thank you for the feedback, whether it's great or it's garbage. I'm going to be honest with you, because sometimes it's garbage. But I say, you know what, thank you. And I do. And I try to, once I've, especially if there's emotion attached to it, once I've calmed down, I do go back and look and say, hold on, is there some merit to it? Is there a point? Could I do it? And sometimes it's like, is it that deep? That's how I'm feeling in my head. And I'm like, well, it was that deep to them that they were brave enough to say it. And sometimes it's a step of bravery, because people don't usually want to be buttholes, right? They don't want to go out to hurt somebody's feelings or to start a wave. They really aren't trying to. It probably was something that's been kind of festering that they're like, let me talk about. I had a therapist once, mad cool lady, and all of a sudden, I don't know, her life schedule must have changed. We're doing virtual, and she would be driving. First time I was like, okay, somebody else was driving. I was like, she must have got caught in traffic. I get it. The area I live in, traffic is crazy. And then the second time I was like, oh, she for real, she's driving herself this time. And so eventually I was like, hey, you do at the end, hey, sister, girl, friend, just been on my mind. I was like, I really, this is some serious things we're talking about, and I feel like I don't have your undivided attention. I would really appreciate it if on our calls you weren't driving. And so we ended up realizing that, yeah, her schedule had changed. She was really struggling. She was a mom as well, and we needed to move my sessions a little later just to make sure she was going to get home and she could sit and talk. And that's how it happened. So just think, if it's hard for you to take the feedback, more than likely it's also hard for your clients to give the feedback, especially if it's negative. So just keep that in mind. And also say thank you, like I said, whether it's positive or negative. All right, so another common challenge that you're going to encounter is due to the fact that you have done inadequate marketing. You have an inadequate marketing strategy. Going viral is not a science. So please don't think that your marketing strategy is like, I just need one viral reel. Huh? I just need one influencer to mention me. What? Huh? That isn't a marketing strategy. That's a hope and a prayer. So a lot of people come into business, and again, maybe they've had their products already together. Because a lot of people tell me, hey, I'm gonna come to you when all these things are done. I'm like, okay, I don't recommend that, but that's fine. And they're ready to market, and it's like, okay, well, what's your marketing strategy? Because a lot of times they want to be like, I want a website. Okay, what's your marketing strategy around this website? Well, people will go to it. How, friend? How? Most websites aren't just organic traffic. That's not how you're making sales. They'll say, okay, I want to speak more. Okay, how? How you gonna find these people? How you gonna talk to them? How you gonna engage with them? There needs to be a marketing strategy. And I actually tell clients, instead of making it hard, because a lot of times if you go to webinars and sessions, they have different terms and words, and it's so confusing and overwhelming. I tell people just draw it out. Draw it out. Who's your prospective client? Put them on one side of the paper. Now, if your prospective clients over here, how you gonna reach them? What's the different avenues in which you can contact them? Somehow, some way, write those down. And if you contact them, then what's the next step? And then the next step, and then the next step. And now you have a marketing/sales strategy, right? It may not be perfect. Something you may have forgotten some steps, but at least you kind of have an idea. So when you come to somebody like me, or you go invest in a software or whatever, you at least have a plan to connect, engage, and close a prospective client. If you're sitting here and just hoping people find you and you're just putting out content randomly, whatever you think to put out, that is not a marketing strategy. And it's not going to give you the type of ROI that you are looking for. So please think through it. And marketing strategy shouldn't just be social media posts, because I'm telling you, there are plenty of people who have big followings who are not making big dollars. It is so important that you actually have a strategy, not just to show up and they heart your pictures, but they actually then go and book a call with you, right? Because it doesn't just stop at, oh, they liked the picture. Now what? Oh, they commented. That's great. Now what? Right? So it needs to be more than just posting on social media. It needs to be more than just having a website. Right? It needs to be more than just speaking. I had a client recently who said, yeah, I went and did a speak, I do speaking engagements. And I was like, okay, what do you do with your leads? And she was like, leads? I was like, well, if you're speaking for your business, either you should be selling from the stage, or you should be doing some type of lead magnet from the stage, even if you're not selling, that at least captures their names and email addresses, or in exchange for you speaking, especially if it's free, then you're getting the registration list so you can follow up. And there she's like, what? That's an option. It's like, yes, that's part of your marketing strategy. We're not speaking just to feel like, hey, I'm booked and busy. Either I'm getting paid and or I am getting leads from that opportunity, right? You're on a podcast. What are you doing? Is that a part of your marketing strategy? Great. How are you utilizing that source of engagement? There needs to be a way. There needs to be a freebie that you're giving out. There needs to be a call to action that you can say during that podcast to lead people to you to do more business. That's a marketing strategy. So there's a difference between just doing stuff and doing things for a purpose. And that's why a lot of people end up in a challenging situation in their business and they're wondering why they don't have leads. Well, it's probably because you failed to create a strong marketing strategy for your business. You've not looked at options that are free or affordable for yourself. Because people are like, I don't have the money for ads. You don't have to do ads. It's not the end all be all. Coaches can survive completely without ads. You can. Is it a lot of hustle? Yes, but you can completely survive without ads, especially in your first couple of years. But you got to have a pretty good marketing strategy. All right, so let's move on here because I done kept you longer than I want. I like to get in 30 minutes or so. So something else is not, and this kind of goes back to the financial piece, neglecting your cash flow management. And that again goes to that point of not thinking about the numbers. You guys, you need to know your revenue numbers. You need to know profit numbers. You need to know overhead numbers. You need to be able to project out. Not all of us have financial backgrounds. I definitely do not. But you need to find somebody. You need to find somebody. That's why I said it costs sometimes to be in business. If you are like me and looking at a spreadsheet makes you nauseous, and you don't understand where the numbers go and why things don't add up and what's happening with your money, you need to get somebody in your corner who does understand, because having a really good understanding of your cash flow and being able to project and predict what's going to happen the next month is really going to keep you moving in the right direction. When you are just excited, you're so excited, I'm making sales. And then the end of the year, you have no money or you're in the red. You're like, how'd that happen? I was making sales all year. Well, because the numbers didn't add up. Your overhead was high, your profit margins were low. And even if you sold 20,000 units, if your overhead ate it all up and your travel expenses and all the things ate it all up and to create your inventory ate it all up, you can still be broke selling a whole bunch of product, even a service. So you really want to understand how your money's going, where the most of your money's coming from. I know for me, that was a big change we even made this year when we sat down and planned. I said, looking at who we're bringing in, how many people, I said, we're not marketing to the people that are making us the most money. We need to shift our marketing to match them because we need the average person to spend this much with us. We need these many people to make sure we're hitting our goals and understanding that. So now that even changes. Knowing our cash flow helps us understand where we should even be focusing our marketing, right? Because a lot of you may be, like I said, getting people to buy stuff, but they're all buying your $30 book, but they're not buying your $500, $1,000 coaching program. Probably because you're marketing that little book that you're so excited about, versus taking that book and putting it into the course and saying, hey, you get the course, I'll send you a free book. So you got to keep that in mind. All right, we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. A lot of you are also failing to adapt and innovate. I always kind of go back to the example of COVID because I think everybody remembers how crazy that time was when it was at its peak. Those who were ready to adapt, to pivot, succeeded. Those who were stuck in their ways didn't make it. They didn't make it through that process. I shouldn't say they didn't make it. Their businesses did not make it because they weren't able to change to a new way of doing things. I love that Tony Robbins did a talk about that because he was saying how, they were doing their in-person events and they were all like, yeah, cheering. People were so excited to be there. And then when COVID happened, they had to cancel those. And that's a big chunk of revenue that also streamlines people into their other products. And so he was like, they ended up connecting with somebody else who had been doing virtual events. And then they had to build an indoor place, and they do big events. So they had to have like thousands of, screens. It was crazy just seeing. If you ever look up Tony Robbins or Dean Graziosi, you'll see they always have the picture of the bazillion screens. The Zoom rooms, they had to find a way to connect with Zoom to allow a bazillion rooms. I've been to their events and been in like room 100 before. It's crazy. But yeah, they had to change the way they have been doing things successfully for years at the drop of a hat to keep the businesses going. You have to be able to do that, even if it's on a smaller scale. I'm in a world where we do a lot of digital marketing. Guys, social media changes like this. The algorithms change, software changes, and I have to be there to keep up. Heck, AI has been like keeping us in a chokehold over the last year or so. And it's like, if I was like, I'm not gonna, talk about AI, it's like, well, I would get left behind because my competitors are using AI and they're getting to be able to work so much faster and they're teaching their clients how to use AI. Now they're getting bigger benefits. So why would they come to me if I'm like, I'm not going to use AI? We have to be willing to adapt and innovate. And just keep our ear to the door to say, okay, what's coming next? What's coming next? And that really means you being in tune with your industry. If you're sitting here and you only talk to you and yourself, and you're not connected with other people in your industry, coaches in your industry, people who purchase products in that industry, if you're a coach that hasn't invested in a coaching program, you are not going to be able to adapt and innovate because you don't even know what's going on right now. So just keep that in mind. All right. Second to last one. We almost done. This is something I was a big sloucher on. And I think, and I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you why. Neglecting legal and regulatory compliances. When I started my business, I was first like, I'm too small. Ain't nobody going to sue me anyway. Like if, especially my product business, like I'm going to send the product. If they hate it, I'll just refund them. Like I'm not even going to play with you for no $12, $14, $15 product. It ain't that deep. So I was like, I'm not going to bother with legal because I'm not that big of a fish. Like it'll never go to small claims court. Then when I started this business, when I very first started, I don't even know if I had any contracts. I don't think I did. I really don't. I think the first couple of clients probably got away with like maybe a contract, but probably not. Like the first 3 were probably like, hey, you want to do business? And we probably just kind of put some quick stuff in writing. But when we did the masterclass last year, 2023, with Jamila Moore, she's also in the private community. She's a lawyer by trade and also a business coach. She did a little like not a Q&A, but like a little quiz at the beginning of her masterclass with us. And she had some questions. When I tell you I failed every question, and that's why I told you every business coach doesn't do the same thing. She does business coaching from a legal standpoint because she's a lawyer. I do it through an action standpoint because that's how I had to do business. And so, yeah, I learned I ain't know nothing. And then I also learned on top of that incompetence is not an excuse. So you cannot go out here, guys. Y'all are selling these high ticket items, making possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then somebody go to sue you and you like, well, I didn't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're out here doing big girl things. You got to be ready for big girl consequences. So if you are somebody who is really struggling, trademarks, copyrights, anything legal. She even taught us some stuff about websites, and now every website I do has some certain features because I'm like, oh, she's like, that's a legal thing. I was like, oh, say less. All those things are important. There's so much that you don't know, and you don't want it to be taking all this time and energy building up a company that you're gonna have to close down because you didn't know no better. If you guys follow TikTok, I don't know. It was around Christmas time. A lot of the TikTok shops got closed, money gone. People had put orders in, money gone because they didn't understand copyright laws. And they were infringing. They were like creating like tumblers and shirts with characters that had trademarks on them and things like that. And boy, people's feelings hurt. They were crying, oh, my kids, money for Christmas was in there. I, put all this money into it, and people was hurt. Their feelings was hurt. But you know what? It's nobody's fault but yours at the end of the day, because the law is the law. And just because we don't know it doesn't excuse us from having to follow it. And so I encourage you, instead of, hitting those challenges, getting sued, or even wanting to sue someone, you need somebody in your life that knows some legal stuff. And a lot of these individuals will let you have retainers or what have you. There's even, what is it called? I always think of like people's old uncles when I think of it. Legal Shield. No shade to Legal Shield, but Legal Shield has a business sector that is pretty affordable. People don't know about it, where you can have lawyers look at your contracts and you can get support, and they'll even come to court with you and things like that, regardless of what state you're in. So definitely invest in some legal, preferably before you end up in trouble, so that you don't end up in trouble. All right, last but not least, we are almost done. You encounter challenges because of ineffective team and resource management. Guys, I get it. We all want to do well. We all want to succeed. But some of you guys struggle with having a team, and really understanding what your resources are and how to effectively utilize them to their full potential. I've had clients buy so many pieces of software, and then I'm like, why do you have that? Oh, it was on sale. Okay, well, how are we going to utilize that? Like, you got an emailing software and you don't have no email list. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Or people have VAs that they don't train, or they don't know what to tell them to do. Been there, done that. This is why it's not that the VA isn't doing their job. It's not that the VA is inadequate. It's that you don't know how to utilize a VA. You don't have any standard operating procedures together to tell them how to do what you do. That's why they're unable to duplicate what you've been doing. They don't know how to do it because you've been doing it for 5 years. You have it down to a science. It's all in your head, and you hire them and tell them to do it, and didn't teach them how. For every job you probably ever had, even back to the McDonald's person dropping the fries, they were taught, all right, you're going to take this amount of fries, you're going to put it in the basket, you're going to oil on this, you're going to hit this button, you're going to drop the fry. When this beep goes off, you're going to pull up the fry. You're going to add this much salt. You're going to use these different cartridges to put it in based on the size. They had some training. You can't think you're going to hire somebody for your team and not offer them training and additional training throughout their time in your company. And so, yes, you're going to run into challenges. You're going to feel like you wasted money if you don't learn how to effectively manage your team and train them up and make sure that you're offering the support they need, and also optimizing the use of the resources that are available to you, whether they're free or things you've invested in. All right, I know that was a lot tonight. I know that was a lot. However, you know, in 2024 we got big things to do, and so I'm gonna be having real conversations with you guys. Again, if you're looking for market research, reach out to Misha Branch. If you are looking for business planning services, then Susie Rains. If you're looking for legal support, that is Jamila Moore. You can find them on all the good social media platforms. They've all had to think for a second. Yes. They've all done stuff with iRock. I'm trying to think of it. They all done a master class, but my brain, y'all, bear with me. It's a Monday, but definitely reach out to me if you want me to link you up with them. I'd be happy to. I am not a gatekeeper. If you want to talk to me because you're ready to move forward in your business, you don't want to encounter these challenges, I'm here to support you. You can DM me, but you can also send me. Just put in the comment section need support, and myself and my team will reach out to you and go ahead and get you on a free call to see how we can support you and where you're experiencing challenges. Because yeah, that's what we're here to do this year. I have a goal for myself. Y'all know I got my wins jar. It's somewhere back here. Let me see. I can feel it. Hold on. I gotta slide it without dropping it off the back of my desk. I got my little wins jar. I want you to be in my wins jar. Not every client, but the majority of my clients, it depends on what they purchase, but the majority of my clients end up in the wins jar, because this is part of my goal for this year, is really supporting a specific number of business owners. And I expect this jar to be bubbling over by the end of the year. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed this talk. Even if you're watching the replay, please do engage. Ask me questions. I do go back to all the platforms that we post these on. And oh, sorry. Hey, Instagram. Y'all, I never look back. My head never turned again. Hey, y'all. Glad y'all were able to see the video. But yeah, if you need support, I'm here. Like I said, DM me, need support, need help, whatever you want to do. And I will reach out because I want you guys to be successful. A lot of you are saying 2024, new me, new year, new me. And I want this to not just be a new year for you, but the best year you've had in business. I think this is a winning year. I know for certain. I've talked to some of you. This is your year. Let's get there together. And I will talk to you guys next Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good one.